Anyway, this wonderful organization, Heartland Institute, is what we are going to talk about today. Since the 2000s, the Heartland Institute has been a leading promoter of climate change denial. We are going to go into the history of Heartland Institute and its founders and how it came about, and a bunch of interesting things that have, interesting and depressing, but a bunch of interesting things that have happened in between. I want to tell you what happened the other day. Prakhar, you don't know about this. Sandy knows, of course.
Yeah.
So, because I'm working on like a fashion collection being launched, right, by my employer company, and they are all in London. So I'm talking to a bunch of people right now for collaboration, post launch PR, yada yada. Which means that I'm talking to a lot of people whom I'm meeting for the very first time, right? I've never spoken to them before. So there's this gentleman. I really like his work. He has done a lot of creative campaigns. He brings himself into the campaign. It's not just advertising, right? He does activations. It's a lot of fun. So I was talking to him and figuring out like a possible collaboration, and that's why I scheduled a call with him. And for the very first time I'm meeting him, as soon as the call starts, I see a cat walk past him. I spend the next 10 minutes. This is first time I'm talking to him. I spent the next 10 minutes talking to him about his cat. It's only after 10 minutes I realized, fuck, I had to talk about something entirely different. And I was like, oh, did the cat come to you or did you adopt him? And then he's like, no, there are two cats and I did not like that part. They bought the cat. And he was like, I was like, oh, okay, they are brothers. He's like, they're brothers. And then I went into fully the personality of each cat. He's like, one is shy and one is a little bit more active. And then I went on talking to him about his cats, dude. It was so weird.
That's literally what I keep reminding you, but you refuse to believe me that
What?
you are
That I talk
weird.
about cats?
No, that you are weird.
I never denied that I'm weird. I am just saying that, like, when you remind me, I just say that you are also weird. You just don't show it in front of other people.
Funny that the other guy was also completely engaged in the conversation about cats.
I'm pretty sure he was wondering how weird this whole entire fucking thing is. This
Yes.
woman who cold emailed me out of the blue. She emailed me to get on a call, and as soon as I get on a call, she starts talking about cats. I mean, this is such a waste of time, no? Like,
Yes, I think he was just being polite. Like,
of course he was being polite.
Because I gave him no context also, right? Of course, he knew that, why I'm scheduling a call. But I clearly wrote in the email that let's discuss this further and figure out how do we collaborate. And then it's a half an hour call, out of which 10 minutes I keep talking about his fucking cats. To be fair, they were adorable. Like one of the cats was walking behind him, circling. Oh, such a cute cat. But also really strange of me to do that. Which is probably an indication that I should get a cat.
Okay. Anyway, I think Ashmita, I think you should start with your topic. What's your topic and why are you so riled up? Not in general, especially today. So
Yeah,
what's
this topic started with, I mean, I was going down some random rabbit hole and I saw this poster and I thought it would be, a fun topic to pick up. But then I have just gotten extremely frustrated. So you all are also going to get frustrated with me. Hang on. Let me just
what is
share my
this? What is
screen.
this collective punishment sort of thing? Like why?
Why not?
If you're
Why
frustrated,
not? I
keep it to
don't.
yourself. No, do us all a favor. No, why do you need us to, all of
Fair
us to be
enough.
frustrated as well? Like, how is that fair?
I
I,
think.
I don't take out all my deepest, darkest desires on you people. No, I come up with topics. I come up with topics which might be relevant or which might be interesting. You're like, okay, this annoyed me. I'll now annoy everyone also. Like that is your
Yes.
modus operandi. Why?
Yes. I think it is valid. I think you all should feel frustrated about this because it's also an important subject. Do you guys recognize what I'm showing you on the screen?
Yeah, Ted Kaczynski, I know the Unabomber. Yes.
Yeah, so Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and this was this billboard that you see. So for listeners, it's a billboard that shows the photo of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. You know, the guy who used to mail bombs, homemade bombs to people, killed a bunch of people, injured a bunch of people. And beside his photo, it says, "I still believe in global warming. Do you?" Okay. And
Is that a
this,
real billboard, by the way? It looks
it
very.
was a real billboard. It was
It looks
actually
fake.
a real billboard. This was put up in 2012 by this
Okay.
climate change denying organization called Heartland Institute.
Mhm.
Okay.
That is the billboard that you're seeing, right? And this is how basically how I came across this topic. And for some reason, I came across this billboard. It's not even like available. I had to look up web archive for this billboard, okay?
Mm.
But anyway, this wonderful organization, Heartland Institute, is what we are going to talk about today. There are a bunch of, assholes who are responsible for opposing the climate action groups.
Mhm.
So everyone with an ounce of intelligence and common sense, they oppose everyone. And they also were, when you go back to their history, they also were people who opposed the tobacco regulation. So top guys, like absolutely wonderful fucking assholes these guys were. And that's whom we are going to talk about today. Okay.
Fun. Mm.
Yes, fun, no? Now,
Very.
the first thing, okay, when you go to Wikipedia, it says an American conservative and libertarian nonprofit public policy think tank known for its rejection of both the scientific consensus on climate change and the negative health impacts of smoking. Oh, by the way, before we go ahead, there are a couple of other Heartland institutes. So we are going to link the Wikipedia article so that you're sure of which Heartland.
I think I've opened the correct one, the green logo Heartland
Yes.
Institute, right? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's it. So Wikipedia goes on to say it was founded in 1984, which is such an apt year, no?
Why?
Founded in 1984 is the, you've read George Orwell's 1984?
No.
It is very popularly, so George Orwell wrote the book 1984 and it is very popularly a dystopian year, the concept of Big Brother came in from there and everything. So this fucking institute was also formed in 1984. It worked with tobacco company Philip Morris during the Marlboro guys, right?
Yeah.
It worked with tobacco company Philip Morris throughout the 1990s to attempt discredit the health risks of secondhand smoke and lobby against smoking bans. By the way, these smoking bans that they're talking about, this is not bans as in you cannot smoke at all. This is bans on smoking in public places, like, sitting down in restaurants and bars and etc. Wikipedia continues to say, since the 2000s, the Heartland Institute has been a leading promoter of climate change denial. We are going to go into the history of Heartland Institute and its founders and how it came about and a bunch of interesting things that have, interesting and depressing, but a bunch of interesting things that have happened in between. Now, the founders, top guys, the Heartland Institute was founded by these two wonderful people. One was called David H. Padden, and the other one was Joseph L. Bast. Okay, and I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about their backgrounds a little bit. David H. Padden, guess where he studied?
Harvard.
Yes, he did his MBA from Harvard. Okay. Okay. So listen to his introduction. David H. Padden was the founder of the Heartland Institute, a founding director of the Cato Institute. Cato Institute is also one of the climate change denial institutes, right? And played a prominent role in a number of other libertarian think tanks. Padden also started the small municipal bond firm, Padden & Co., in the early 1960s. Thankfully, he's dead now. In 2011, he died at the age of 84, right? I think of a heart attack. I have looked at so many places. There's nothing else he did. He just founded this fuck all institute and lobbied against tobacco regulation, lobbying against climate action, spent his whole life just being absolutely a dick, and also apparently fucking a lot. Like, I found his obituary, he has 7 children. And I think
So
13 grandchildren and 2 great grandchildren while he died. Like, his seed is now there everywhere, which is just a horrifying thought, but
this is
explains the
nothing, dude.
world.
Like Nick Cannon has like 30 kids.
30?
Yeah,
Wow.
he has 30
Wow.
kids from like 10 or 15 different women, some shit like that. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
No, this guy was married to only one woman, and all of these kids are from that poor woman.
I mean, I'm assuming he was a conservative as well, which is a fair assumption, I would
Of
guess.
course. Yes,
And
fully
then you have,
rightful.
yeah. So then obviously you won't have that, what is that thing called? Contraception is banned and all of that. No. So sort of
Yeah, that is.
adds up.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so that was about Padden. Then the other founder was Joseph L. Bast. I'm not going to go too much into details, okay? They were just all around terrible people, but the actual interesting thing is about the institute itself. Now, Joseph L. Bast, like his co-founder, he also only seems to have co-founded this institute, and he also ran it as a CEO for a long period of time.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he is still very much alive, okay?
Mhm.
And he has, I think, from what I could understand, Padden was more of like the BD person. You know, he would get more funding and all of that. And Bast was like the quote unquote creative person, because he wrote a bunch of publications, right? On mostly for the Heartland Institute. He also wrote books that were obviously lobbying for the tobacco industry and denying climate change, right? And I found one of his fun book, Please Don't Poop in My Salad, and other essays opposing the war against smoking. It's wild, okay?
Mhm.
So Heartland Institute since has removed it, and Amazon USA still sells it. It is not available anywhere else.
Why did they
Right?
remove it? Did someone poop in his salad?
Yes.
Oh.
Disgusting. The removal of a lot of this is very interesting. So that's how we come to tobacco industry. So before we get to removing it, I'm going to go back to how it actually started, how the lobbying actually started, and then we'll get to why and how a bunch of
Mhm.
this was removed, and a bunch of this still exists in different ways, right? So tobacco industry lobbying. Now this started off in the 1990s. I mean, they were always 1980s also, they were 84 onwards also, they were fully lobbying for the tobacco industry. But 1990s, they started partnering heavily and very openly with tobacco companies.
Mhm.
So obviously now in the late 2010s, early 2020s, there's of course a lot more research and a lot more acceptance that tobacco does cause a lot of damage, right? It's not just lung cancer by you smoking, passive smoking, and bunch of research is there, and this is undeniable right now. So now there's a lot of information where Heartland Institute has been pulled up. So I found this report by a research organization under the University of Bath, right, in UK, called Tobacco Tactics. Now, Tobacco Tactics is a fully separate arm of University of Bath, and they absolutely focus on the harmful impact of tobacco and the new research and all of those things, right? So they published a report on Heartland Institute and its lobbying, and they go into the history of how the funding started, how their association with all of the tobacco companies started. It quotes, and I'm quoting it out from the part of the article. We'll of course link the article as well. It's a wonderful report, and it's very easy to read as well. So it says, Roy Marden, Philip Morris International's then manager of industry affairs, received a letter from Heartland President Joseph Blast in 1999. Bast hoped that PMI, which is Philip Morris International, would increase the $30,000 it gave the previous year.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Bast wrote, Heartland has devoted considerable attention to defending tobacco and other industries from what I view as being an unjust campaign of public demonization and legal harassment. We are an important voice defending smokers and their freedom to use a still legal product. Before we go forward, Philip Morris International, right now, I want to talk to you about this Philip Morris International a little. It employs a bunch of people from business schools, of course, including from my school, right? And I remember when
Would
it
you
had
like
come
to would you like to say what your school is so that people are aware, or no? Would you rather not?
I mean, it's
I
like
mean,
anybody
they can
can
still
just
find
check
it from
out.
your LinkedIn or whatever. They just need to Google your
Yeah,
name. So that's
exactly.
fine.
So let's
Yeah.
not get
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Basically, like any other business school, my school also has, you know, not necessarily they are producing people who are very morally upright, right? Although I will say that my school also produces a lot of people who go into sustainability. So I am a little proud of that. But anyway,
Very
it
well,
also
very well
produces.
done. You covered that up really well, by the way. Very good. Yeah.
But you did not listen to the next part. They also hire, Philip Morris also hires a lot of
Yeah,
people from my school.
yeah, I'm sure.
Right? So, okay, my stand has always been that I would blame all of the problems with corporates, not individuals, because
Yeah.
individuals have to take a lot of actions to survive, while
Mhm.
corporates take a lot of actions to increase harm, increase profit that they do
Agreed.
not need.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
So when people start looking for jobs, everybody denounces Philip Morris. Okay, it's the beginning of the year, and you're like, "Fuck this tobacco company! I will never work for this asshole company."
Mm.
And then comes the end of the year, and you're getting desperate, and you don't have a job, and you've spent too much money coming to a different country, especially if you come from a lower cost of living country, and a lower income level country, and you are spending so much money that you start getting desperate, right?
Yeah.
And I read
Yeah.
a LinkedIn post by this alum of mine, and I felt so bad for him, dude. He spoke about how he was absolutely dead against like being employed by a tobacco company, and then had to faff around for like it's a LinkedIn post, so you're anyway not it's a humble brag of sorts. And he had to faff around for so long and go around circles saying now that Philip Morris is reducing tobacco. How are they reducing tobacco? By increasing vaping, by the way. Okay. They are still into addictive materials. He's like, now it is like you have to be a part of the system to change the system and all that bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so depressing to read, man.
We were also
It was
part of the
just sad.
system for a brief moment in time, if we all remember.
Yes,
I was
Yes.
about to
yes,
say
we
that.
worked with the government. And having been a part of that, I can guarantee you that there is no changing the system from
No,
inside.
not
Like,
just the
it
government.
is not happening.
We also worked for that. The what is it
Yes,
called?
the vaping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
harm reduction community in India.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who supports vaping? Now,
Yeah.
we'll get to a little bit of that also in this. We'll talk about a little bit of vaping. So all of these assholes who used to lobby for tobacco are now lobbying for vaping.
Of
And
course.
they are
Yeah.
okay. The scientific basis we don't know yet. We don't know whether it actually like what are the different harm that is there. We just don't have enough research yet. But we do know that the harm from tar is gone. The harm from the other chemicals is gone. So there's a lot more research to do, but be very, very careful of the research that you're reading, because it is about, like, it is funded by all these jackasses. Before we go forward with the rest of the this thing, so for the listeners, you're going to have to listen to ads right now. We are going to put in mid-roll ads. Just bear with it.
Wouldn't it be fun if Heartland Institute starts promoting in
Oh,
this
yes.
podcast?
These are programmatic ads. Fuck.
I don't think they will,
Yeah, we don't
because
know who's promoting.
no, I put some exceptions on there, no,
Okay.
of
But
of companies.
For this one, shall we remove the exceptions?
Why?
Sandy, wouldn't it be so much fun if right-wing groups promote while we are fully blasting right-wing in the
Not
podcast?
really. No.
Oh my God, come on. All right. So we are back and we are talking about Heartland Institute and the assholes that ran it. And we are at the tobacco lobbying part, right?
While you listeners were listening to the mid-roll ads, Ashmita just went out for a smoke break, and now we're back to.
That's a lie. that is fully a lie.
Well played, Sandy. Well played.
Now we're back to preaching you against Heartland Institute. Hope you enjoy. Over to you, Ashmita. Please carry on.
I went to get coffee. Actually, a smoke break would be nice right now. Anyway,
Yeah.
we were talking about this article by Tobacco Tactics, right? The research organization under University of Bath. And we were talking about how Philip Morris sort of partners and funds all of this thing. And it's not just Philip Morris, right? It's a lot of donors who are they benefit financially from the tobacco industry doing well. This article continues. Tobacco company Altria is known to have donated to the institute in 2011 and annually from 2013 to 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this article also talks about something called as the Consumer Freedom Lounge. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm going to quote out from the article. The Institute has a dedicated area on its website called the Consumer Freedom Lounge to promote its thinking on alcohol and smoking.
Mhm.
It says that it is the place to go for sound science, economics, and legal commentary on tobacco issues. Sound science. In my experience, whenever you have to say that your science is sound, it is not sound. That is the biggest indication. Anyway, the article continues. In this area, it has published a number of articles challenging the science around secondhand smoke, arguing against smoking bans and tax increases, and supporting e-cigarettes. Under the heading Tobacco Control, it states that government regulators have gone well beyond reasonable measures to discourage smoking and protect non smokers, and they are now waging all out war on smokers. That's wrong. Federal, state, and local government in the United States have used excise taxes, smoking bans, and other regulations in an attempt to discourage cigarette use, but those having little effect on smoking rates. Now, I tried looking this up. It doesn't exist anymore. This section doesn't exist on the website anymore. This used to exist. Now they put up articles saying shit like, taxation is more burdensome to poorer people, and that tobacco tax increases black market or illicit tobacco, basically, and the age-old argument that it reduces government revenue, right? And of course, it now also promotes vaping because tobacco industry has fully begun capitalizing on it. Remember, we spoke about Philip Morris. By the way, Philip Morris in its vision states that these smoke-free products will one day replace cigarettes. Like, the audacity of these assholes is insane. You are the one who got everyone addicted to cigarettes, friend. And now, absolute assholes. But anyway, so this article details that. Then so basically in this section, I'm sort of covering what the lobbying looked like and how much of, how do you say, like, they try to do, and they continue trying to do that with climate change. They try to get a lot of quote unquote scientific material to support their views, but none of it was scientific, right? I mean, they would not get enough peer reviews done. They would quote and requote themselves. It was a shit show, right? And these articles had no scientific basis of it. There's this organization called SourceWatch. SourceWatch is like Wikipedia, but it is run by Center for Media and Democracy. So it's a nonprofit, which is a nonprofit in US. So they are very, very robust journalism in that case. They validate all of their sources. So it says According to The Guardian, the Heartland Institute maintains a full section of its website to alcohol and tobacco, where it encourages skepticism about professional anti-smoking advocates, questions the hazards of secondhand smoking, and argues smoking bans violate property rights.
Mm.
In addition, it has historical ties in the tobacco industry. In a 1999 grant request, remember this is very old, so today it is even more. In 1999 grant request, Heartland stated that it has devoted considerable attention to defending tobacco. Internal company documents show the following contributions from PM, which is Philip Morris, to Heartland. And the source word says in brackets, which is probably an incomplete list, which is accurate. Okay. From 2011 to 2016, there are unspecified amounts. This happened because a lot of donors, they started protecting donors, right? They started forming ways around the laws to declare donors, okay, and they started anonymizing them. But from 1993 to 1998, there were chunks of donations like $25,000, $50,000. They were, and in 1995, $50,000 was an insane amount to get from just one organization. Yeah. And then in 2006, the Heartland Institute partnered with the National Association of Tobacco Outlets. You know what's an acronym of National Association of Tobacco Outlets?
NATO.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And it says, in a campaign to change public opinion about tobacco, the campaign will utilize press releases, letters to editors, and an effort to win coverage in magazines and journals, according to an article about the partnership on the NPN Market Pulse. So NPN Market Pulse is an online publication. Basically, there is this massive PR campaign going on for the tobacco industry at this point of time, 1990s, early 2000s, well into 2010s. And if there was any doubt that this was not being funded by completely the tobacco industry, board of Heartland Institute included people like Roy Marden. If you remember, we spoke about Roy Marden. He was the manager of industry affairs for Philip Morris. So he was the manager of industry affairs of Philip Morris till 2003, and he was also in the board during that time. During the time when he was the manager, not like afterwards. He was a board member in Heartland Institute. So they are not even trying to hide it, right? And I think at that point of time, PR worked quite well for this, because in 90s and early 2000s, and I have noticed this, that there was very little doubt on what came in news articles. You just assumed that these would be accurate. And these fuck all industries took a lot of advantage of that. Today, we realize it. Today, there are people on a larger scale going, Washington Post, if it says something, it's owned by Bezos. Do we really want to believe it? You know, that sort of an angle, right? That wouldn't happen too much earlier. Remember, Sandy, you were asking why have they removed and why have they stopped now? Slowly, as the tobacco industry started moving towards more of vaping, smoke-free products. And smoke-free products, by the way, is not just vaping. There's also this sort of a machine in which, a very, very small device in which you put your cigarette and it apparently bakes it and does not burn it. Yeah. As if that is supposed to make tobacco better. Okay. So
I mean, that makes dough better. So same rules apply, I guess.
Really? Really, Sandy?
Yeah. Any dough you try and bake, you get a fucking fantastic bread. So if same rules apply, then
absolutely the same thing. So anyway, these smoke-free products are what now the tobacco companies are trying to capitalize on. So obviously, Heartland Institute is fully going towards that. All of this scientific basis is there only as long as the funding remains from the tobacco industry. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
And it is not just tobacco industry, because it is in 2000s they fully diverted to the other part, which is the denying climate change. And this has arguably been worse of an impact than tobacco has.
Mhm.
But let's face it, tobacco, I mean, as much as of a terrible thing it does not impact as many people as climate change does, which is literally the whole world. So it's a fuck all thing to be doing right now, right? And they've come up with a bunch of fun ass things that they have done. Since March 2008, they started sponsoring an event called International Conference on Climate Change, ICCC. Okay.
Mhm.
The Wikipedia calls this a climate change denial conference series organized and sponsored by the Heartland Institute, which aims to bring together those who dispute that the science is settled on the causes, consequences, and policy implications of climate change.
Mhm.
I think this is as assholeish as it is. It's also a smart way of going about it, because what they are saying is not that climate change doesn't exist. They are saying, one, that climate is always changing.
Which is
Which is,
not technically untrue if you look at it.
yes, but
You
that's
know?
not what climate change refers to
No, I
and
know.
global warming refers to. And
But
they also
in
say,
their defense, they are not technically wrong.
Sandy, don't defend them.
No, no.
The entire oil industry is defending them. You stay sane. Okay. Anyway, we are not playing devil's advocate here. They are fully assholes. I'm saying, to gullible, dumb people, this can be a good argument, because they are saying, one, that it is always changing. And secondly, they are not even saying that climate change doesn't exist. They are saying that the science is not confirmed.
Mhm.
And the problem is that when you actually talk about the real science, every science is constantly challenging and evolving. To a really like simpleton's mind, this sounds correct, right? That yes, the science is not settled. But friend, the science is settled on the fact that there is climate change because of man-made causes, majority of which is fully fossil fuel led. There's no doubt about that. It is just how much of it is caused by fossil fuel, how much of it can actually be sequestered. All of those different things are still being talked about and still being researched. But the base of it remains. It's like saying that just because the science on the universe is not fully settled yet, that's why we fully deny the fact that Earth revolves around the sun. No, friend, that part is settled. No.
Is it
It's
though? Is
Sandy,
it
fuck
though?
off. Fuck right off, Sandy.
This is like
I
the
mean,
flat earthers.
for the longest time, the church believed that Earth was the center of the solar system and the universe. I mean, it sounds kind of nice, no? If when you kind of think of it that way. And
It's the
this is
church.
not.
It's a religious organization. Every religious organization believes that the world revolves around their own assholes. So it's
No, no,
fine.
no, not assholes, the Earth. That's what I mean. If you're calling the Earth an asshole, then
No, Sandy.
I don't know what to
Anyway,
say.
we are going to come back to this.
No,
You're saying something
this
about flat
organization
earthers.
is like the flat earth organization, no? They believe that the earth is flat. Even they deny science
Yes.
and logic.
And the flat earthers do it a little bit more, outright denial. These guys pretend that they are using science to back it, which is not true, right? And we're going to talk about how they do that as well, and how a bunch of organizations have also very clearly clarified how this is not true. So anyway, now Wikipedia talks about this conference a little bit more in detail, and from there I found out that this conference provides stage to an organization that Heartland Institute supports. It's called the Non-Governmental International Panel on Climate Change, NIPCC. Do you remember in the first episode we had spoken about IPCC?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's basically a counter to this. And Wikipedia calls
Its
it
acronym is NIPS. What? Huh?
oh no.
That is salacious. My God, that is salacious. No wonder they have so many subscribers. The entire event is only called, or the organization is called NIPS. Why won't anybody sign up?
Oh god. So anyway, Wikipedia describes it as an advocacy organization set up by S. Fred Singer. S. Fred Singer, also a terrible, terrible person who is now thankfully dead. he was a quote-unquote physicist and was, of course, a free market supporter and this libertarian and all of this jack. This organization was set up by S. Fred Singer's Science and Environmental Policy Project and later supported by the Heartland Institute lobbying group in opposition to the assessment reports of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, right, on the issue of global warming. Now, Wikipedia goes on to say the NIPCC, or as Sandy calls it, NIPS, presents itself as an international panel of non-government scientists and scholars who have come together to present a comprehensive, authoritative, and realistic assessment of the science and economics of global warming. Because it is not a government agency and because its members are predisposed to dispute that climate change is caused by human greenhouse gas emissions, NIPCC claims to offer an independent second opinion of the evidence reviewed or not reviewed by the IPCC. Now, it says, the last sentence is interesting. It says the scientific validity of the claims made by the NIPCC report have been heavily criticized, as has the methodology of their reports and the lack of expertise of many of their authors. So I was like, okay, what was the lack of expertise, right? And what did they do? Like, why was it so unreliable? Maybe there's a group of people who is funded by the oil industry that is publishing these reports. That's what I thought. But it is so much dumber than that. Like, they put zero effort into it, okay? So I found out this report by National Center for Science Education, where it fully destroys, and we'll of course put the link in the description. It fully destroys NIPCC's way of working. And it says, I'm going to quote out a small part. It says NIPCC's latest report evaluated fewer than 100 scientific papers, many of which were written by NIPCC members themselves. So basically, it's a pyramid scheme.
They were sniffing their own butts, basically.
Yes. Yes, they were just writing papers, and then NIPCC was referring to those very papers as peer reviews. And there were also, I think, 72 or 75 papers. And for comparison, when IPCC publishes a report, it refers to around 9,200 scientific papers versus less than 100. So, they are not even, NIPCC is not even trying. They are just like people who will believe us. They don't read scientific reports.
Exactly.
They don't care.
Yeah.
So just do whatever the fuck you want, right?
I mean, as long as they keep getting their funding, how does it really matter what they do, right? I mean, if this is working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the right wing, as we know, doesn't really read. So they are fully on board with all of this. Right? And
that's why we recorded this podcast for you, right wingers, so that you can listen instead of read. We're saving you some effort. You are all welcome here, by the way. We don't hate you at all. At least I don't. So it's okay.
You don't hate right wingers, Sandy?
No, I don't have hate for anyone. I'm not a hater. I'm an indifferenter, if that makes sense.
No, but I will not go into the details, but remember, I know your personal life.
Yeah.
And
I'm not a hater. When have you ever seen me hate on anyone?
You have literally cut off from people because they have been
that is because that I still like them or love them, but I'm indifferent towards them. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't hate anyone. Indifference is a stronger feeling than hatred. You remember that line that Rebecca's mother says to her during the funeral episode. I'll take your hatred over your indifference any day. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Because indifference means you just don't give a fuck about anyone, right? That is worse than
how that feels like.
Harboring any feeling.
I wonder how that feels like, because I give a fuck about everything. It is
that is your problem.
Anyway, so we are talking about Heartland in the 2000s, right? Now in 2008, they also published something called the 500 Scientists List. Basically, it's a document that identifies what they say 500 scientists with documented doubts of man-made global warming scares. Then the Sydney Morning Herald, I'm assuming it was more than a tabloid at that point of time, did an expose on this.
Expose.
I
Sure.
like that. Anyway, so they
ASMR
did it.
episode.
Yes. Like the first episode where Sandy's entire part was ASMR.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, don't you remember?
We didn't have
Sandy
any
was speaking so
pop
close
guards,
to the
no?
mic.
We didn't have
Oh,
pop
yeah,
guards,
yeah.
so it was very intimate. Yeah.
And also,
Very
I remember,
intimate.
I also remember Sandy at that time saying, "This is my podcast voice."
Which is basically my everyday voice as well, in case you couldn't tell, you know. That's what
Okay,
I aspire to be.
okay. Now coming back to this. So, in the Sydney Morning Herald's expose,
Expose.
it reported that there was this work of a scientist, Jim Salinger. Jim Salinger or Salinger, I don't know how it's called. Salinger or Salinger? Maybe
I'm
Salinger.
pretty sure that person won't be listening, so who cares?
That's true. He was the chief scientist at New Zealand's National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research. And these guys, Heartland Institute, published this 500 scientist list. And they quoted this man, Jim Salinger, saying that he has documented doubt on man made global warming scare, which is false. It is not true. What Salinger was actually saying is that there are climate variations, which is normal. So, when Sydney Morning Herald interviewed him, he said that climate variations were normal, but this did not weaken conclusions about the dangers of burning oil and coal. So, he was studying actually an entirely different part, which had got nothing to do with fossil fuels. He was just studying climate variations. The article goes on to say global warming is real, he said, and demanded reference to his work be removed. The institute refused. The Heartland Institute received almost $800,000 from Exxon, according to the
Mhm.
Greenpeace research based on Exxon's corporate donation disclosures. Exxon, by the way, is the same Exxon that knew about climate change. They started researching about climate change in the 70s, far
Yes.
before we did, and fully funded its denial. That same Exxon.
Yeah.
Okay. So Heartland Institute has some solid asshole backers, and it continues to do what it does, right? Right. Even as recent as in 2020, there was this investigative outlet in Germany called Corrective that published an expose.
Expose.
I'm going to tell you about this expose a little bit more because this is a fucking fantastic job done. Just look at the blurb that they say. A joint investigation from Corrective and Frontal 21. Frontal 21 is also an investigative organization. It's not a journalistic organization. Corrective is the journalistic one. A joint investigation from Corrective and Frontal 21 reveals how the American Heartland Institute is supporting climate change deniers in Germany with the goal of undermining climate protection measures. We went undercover to meet the Institute's chief strategist. He told us how the network of climate change deniers works, how donations are disguised, and how they intend to use a German YouTuber affiliated with the AfD to reach young people. AfD is, what is that? Alternative for Germany, the far right group in Germany, right? Political group. So we're going to link this article in the in the description. I strongly recommend reading it. It's such a fantastic work done. So basically, these two journalists, they went undercover into this very close knit group of Heartland Institute and its supporters, people who would basically fund climate change deniers. And guess how this is fantastic. Guess what was their undercover personas?
While all of you are thinking about what your guesses might be, why don't you take a couple of minutes to listen to this mid-roll ads? We'll see you on the other side and we'll let you know what they went in as. Now that we are back from that mid-roll ad, if you had any guesses what they went undercover as, please do write to us at don'tknowdocare1@gmail.com, or you may reach out to us on Instagram at DKDC Podcast to let us know what your thoughts are on that. Right? Ashmita, put us out of everyone's misery. Put us out of everyone's misery? No. Put everyone out of their
Put
misery.
everyone out of their misery. Yeah.
Yes. And let us
We
know
should
what
keep
I
this.
they
think
went undercover
I think
as.
having to promote is breaking your brain, Sandy. It's really making you uncomfortable as fuck.
Yeah, but I don't see anyone else volunteering or even trying, no.
I
So I
forget.
have to.
In my defense, I forget.
So
Okay.
do
But
I.
I will
But
try.
I, yes, you know.
Okay,
So
anyway.
anyway, yeah.
By the way, I asked you two. Are you going to guess?
Okay. These guys went into a conservative research group undercover. So
No, they
they
did
are,
not go into a research group. They went to this network. So basically,
yeah.
it's not just Heartland Institute. It's the whole, like, the actual, let's say, expose happened at a conference of
Hmm.
all the climate change deniers, their
Hmm.
overlords with the oil companies and all of those. So actually, where the money flows.
Hmm. I'm guessing either they went as either a big petrochemical company employee or some high-ranking member, or I'll just say like they went in as some version of a MAGA fanatic.
No, because common people were not a part of this, right? They went as the most believable and most lucrative, people over there. They went as two PR consultants who work for
Hmm.
strategic communications agency in Berlin.
Nice. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. They said, we pretend to probe for potential donor opportunities for our clients in the automotive industry and energy sector who want to anonymously support the work of climate deniers with money, big money.
Hmm.
And they were like,
Makes sense.
and people over there was like, PR people, yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
Fine. They would come to do this. Now, the so in this article, they have detailed fully how they actually went about this whole thing. And honestly, the most difficult part was actually the undercover personas,
Mhm.
because the people very easily gave up information. They were,
Yeah.
they were they were like, okay, we are going to tell you everything. So one of the journalists speaks to James Taylor. Now, James Taylor, at this point of time, is the chief strategist and director of climate policy at the Heartland Institute.
Hmm.
Okay. So David H. Padden,
Mhm.
one of the co-founders, he has died. Joseph Bast, he's retired from Heartland Institute. He stepped down as the CEO by then. So James Taylor is now the guy at the helm of affairs, right?
Hmm.
As you can imagine, set up by white people, white men, run by white men, right? So one of the journalists approaches Taylor in the pretext of, them having a client that wants to donate. And Taylor just blurts out everything. The expose article says Taylor explains how he's able to raise awareness of topics in exchange for money, how people
Mhm.
can make tax deductible donations anonymously through a US foundation, and how the Institute's publications mimic the tone of the New York Times, so obscure ideas are taken more seriously. The followers of climate change denial might be absolutely fucking dumb and completely like having the IQ of an amoeba, but the people backing this, the
Hmm.
people building this are putting a lot of money and time and resources into
Mhm.
this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
which is what makes it so difficult, right? It goes on to say he detailed how he intends to make a young YouTuber from Germany the star of climate denier, and how he works closely with German partners whose ideas are constantly cited by the AfD in the Bundestag. By now, Heartland Institute, by this is what, 2020. By now, Heartland Institute is fully in Europe as well. It is not just
Mm.
restricted to this obscure one US part or just the US, it is now global. The article continues. Then a few weeks later, Taylor will send an offer in writing. It is something like a strategy document for a PR campaign in Germany, a campaign that the public will not recognize for what it really is, making it even more effective. The goal? No more prohibitive climate laws. Diesel instead of electric cars, energy from coal instead of wind turbines, industry growth instead of environmental protection, which is basically what the US is doing, right? Diesel, it is fully supporting diesel. I don't know if you know about Volkswagen diesel cars campaign. They fully campaigned as if diesel cars are more environmentally friendly. And then they were brought down for it being greenwashing because it is not environmental friendly, right? Energy from coal instead of wind turbines, US is fully going there. India continues to do that, right? A lot of countries actually with right-wing governments continue to do that. And industry growth instead of environmental protection. Everything is about like Trump's narrative, right? That we are bringing jobs back and all of those things. So this is very much a successful campaign. This was the campaign being directed towards one particular client for, to get donations from them. But even without that, because obviously this was a fake client, even without that, the campaign is going on because the oil industry continues to fund it, right?
Right.
So the article then goes on to talk about the whole undercover mission. So it's pretty fantastic. And I want to quote out a couple of parts from the conference of that actually happened, right? So the expose centered around the conference that I was telling you about, where these guys were present as undercover PR consultants. It says, for the next 2 days, the group of almost exclusively white men present scientific-looking graphs, diagrams, and tables. There are those who consider themselves to be on the side of science, presenting their methods, explaining and arguing, and evaluating series of experiments. And then there are the conspiracy theorists, esotericists, and the ultra-religious. A man sitting next to us in the audience says it is a contempt of God to judge whether something God created is good or bad. He was talking about CO2. Oh, God. It's so crazy, dude. So you see, it's such a dangerous combination. Like it's these people who believe that they are in the side of science, and then there are these absolute nutcases who are like, look, even science supports us. It's terrifying, right? And to give you an idea of how massive and how messed up and huge this disinformation campaign is, I'm quoting some parts from when Taylor sends the document, right? So they are not trying to hide it as much that they have put all of this down in paper and sent it to PR consultants. They really don't give a fuck. And I'm quoting from this part that's mentioned in the article. So the article goes on to describe what the proposal that James Taylor sent. What is that? For the first time, Taylor is also involving staff from his institute. Their titles and degrees are intended to ensure credibility beyond YouTube. Why YouTube? We have been talking about a YouTuber, a German YouTuber, right? The article does not mention her because she refused to comment on this. And also the article is like they are respectable journalists. They are, trying to bring down Heartland Institute and don't want to attack a 19-year-old YouTuber. I, on the other hand, have no such qualms. Okay, so I'm going to take her name. The YouTuber that they're talking about is called Naomi Seibt. Okay, Seibt. She is a 19-year-old German influencer, basically fully sponsored by Heartland Institute and other fully right-wing, including AFD, the political party, all of these right-wing groups. And she is presented as an antithesis to Greta Thunberg. So they use this child to attack another child. Okay, that's what is going on here. Absolutely fuck all thing to do. Now, coming back to the article, the part about Taylor's document, they go on to list the people who are going to be involved. Taylor lists that. Okay, it says Peter Ferreira, a graduate in economics from Howard University and former advisor to US Presidents Ronald Reagan and
Mhm.
George Bush Sr. is
Yeah,
to join the team.
that adds up.
Of course he is.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Of course he is. Ferreira can research and present important information on the severe economic costs of German environmental restrictions.
Mm.
Taylor also has a plan to counter the argument that diesel car emissions are harmful to health. I mean, absolute like jackasses, right?
Mm.
He goes on to say to tackle this particular issue, he plans to get a physician and a biostatistician in on the plan. The two scientific professionals, Dunn and Malloy, are the two of the science experts Heartland would, if properly funded, like to utilize, calling attention to the minimal health impacts of diesel engines, coal power plants, and other conventional energy sources. Their degrees and job descriptions will give off a supposed level of expertise. Taylor admits this. These are Taylor's words in that document that he has sent along. This happened in 2020. It's 2025 and nothing has changed.
Mhm.
In fact, arguably, climate action has been pushed more and more to the sidelines, right?
Mhm.
He talks about minimal health impacts of coal power plants. People died, friend. There's no denying the harmful impacts of people of coal power plants. It's so crazy. And they still manage to convince one of the largest and arguably the most powerful countries in the world to fully go against climate action, which is US.
Mhm.
Right. So it is, despite these exposés and despite all of this work being done. So see, this is why I was so frustrated and so annoyed. Because despite all of this work that was being done, we're still in a bad situation. I would say Heartland Institute is almost winning, right? And that is, when I started going into this, I thought I will see the downfall of this organization somehow. But unfortunately, we are at the part of the story where they are still going pretty strong. Because this really, really bothered me, and I wanted to end on a note that did not depress me as much, I decided to go back to the Unabomber campaign. Do you remember we talked
Mhm.
about it? So, just so that I also don't leave everybody as depressed, I want to make fun of this a little bit. Okay, so we're going to talk about the 2012 campaign. Basically, in 2012, Heartland Institute put up these digital posters. We'll link the Web Archive article. So you'll be able to also see the digital billboard that I talked about, which Ted Kaczynski saying, I still believe in global warming. Do you? And I want to talk about what Heartland Institute's plan was, which is very, very ridiculous. At that time, Joseph Bass was still the president, right? He said in a news release, the most prominent advocates of global warming aren't scientists. They are Charles Manson, a mass murderer, Fidel Castro, a tyrant, and Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. He said other global warming alarmists include Osama bin Laden and James L. Lee, who took hostages inside the headquarters of the Discovery Channel in 2010. Such a wild thing to say.
Mhm.
Like, it's so, and I read this, it was hilarious. I read this comment on the article where this guy was like, Ted Kaczynski was also a mathematician. So are all mathematicians also terrorists? Like, what the fuck, bro? Then the article goes on, the Web Archive article. Yet on Friday afternoon, citing vitriolic attacks in his group, Bast announced that the Heartland was suspending its Unabomber experiment, which sounds horrifying.
Mhm.
He did not apologize for it. Okay. And the press
Mhm.
release was gold. It said, the press release by Heartland, it said, this billboard was deliberately provocative, an attempt to turn the tables on the climate alarmists by using their own tactics but with the opposite message. We found it interesting that the ad seemed to evoke reactions more passionate than when leading alarmists compare climate realists to Nazis or declare that they are imposing on our children a mass death sentence. So essentially, they are framing climate activists as climate quote unquote alarmists
Mhm.
and themselves as climate realists, which is wild because they're fully in denial. So it's amazing. It goes on to say, and this is arguably one of the strangest sentences I've read in a press release. It says Heartland has spent millions of dollars contributing to the real debate over climate change and $200 for a one-day digital billboard. What? Why is this so strange? Anyway, in return, we have been subjected to the most uncivil name calling and disparagement you can possibly imagine from climate alarmists. The other side of the climate debate seems to be playing by different rules. This experiment produced further proof of that. We know that our billboard angered and disappointed many of Heartland's friends and supporters, but we hope they understand what we were trying to do with this experiment. We do not apologize for running the ad, and we will continue to experiment with ways to communicate the realist message on the climate. In the original news release, this group also said that there was little difference between these madmen. They put this in the same breath. The madmen and spokesperson for United Nations, journalists for the mainstream media, and liberal politicians say what they say about global warming. Apparently, they are equal to madmen. The press release actually
they were
says,
calling all of them dawn drapers of the world. You never know. Maybe that's what they meant.
God. That's actually a good point. I don't know. Anyway, the press release actually says they are so similar, in fact, that a website has a quiz. We don't know what website he's talking about. We don't know what fucking quiz he's talking about, but he says that a website has a quiz that asks if you can tell the difference between what Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, wrote in his manifesto and what Al Gore wrote in his book, Earth and Balance. Al Gore, the vice president of US.
Of the US.
Right? Yeah, I think during Clinton time.
I think so,
right?
yes.
Right? Yeah. So these guys compare the Unabomber in his manifesto, whatever he has written, to people who are fully talking about, taking action against climate change. Okay. And that's how they decided that coming up with, and they were fully planning to do this entire series, right? They were, if the social media backlash hadn't happened, they would have gone forth with it. They would have gone forth with the $200 a day digital billboard that they put up. So this was the Unabomber debacle, and they have been involved in a lot of other shit, which I was too depressed to go read about and too frustrated to read about. So this is where I ended.
Recommendation time. What about your recommendations?
My recommendation is so I watched this show called F is for Family. Have you guys seen it? It's an adult animated series.
I've seen a few episodes.
I loved it. It's created by
Aren't you guys
Prakhar?
watching it together?
No.
So Sandy is constantly watching. Sandy is watching YouTube mostly, and I don't like. For me, I like doing. I like letting shows play in the background while I'm doing a lot of different things. Right? It helps me.
Candy Crush.
That also while working, I let it play. Which means that a lot of times I have to go back and watch the show again, which I'm okay with. But it helps me focus. The background noise helps me keep doing my work. And I don't like YouTube because of that, because like random videos will pop in and I will have to refocus, and I'm not okay with that. I would much rather put a series so that it continues. Okay, anyway, so F is for Family is created by Bill Burr and Michael Price. Bill Burr, I asked Sandy, I had forgotten, he's a comedian. And it is, I think Bill Burr also is playing one of the characters. I think the character of the dad.
He's the father. He's the father.
He's the father. Yeah. So it's this very normal family in US. From what I imagine, this is 70s, because they keep going back to when they were young, and they refer to 1958. So it's the 60s, 70s sort of an era. And it's hilarious. It's a very satirical take on what family used to be then, but it also touches upon so many important issues, right? Like how fathers were completely deadbeat at that point of time. How they were just dicks to their children, generational trauma. Like there's so much of the whole show where Bill Burr, the father, is coping with how his father treats him when he was a child, and at the same time he continues treating his children like absolute like a shit person, right? Then there is also the our women cannot be in workplaces and everything, but done in a hilarious way. And he has brought in a lot of understated jokes as well. Like he was his younger son is a funny guy, right? He's also a poor guy. He was bullied and everything, but he's also funny. So in one part, he says, "You still got to study. You cannot make a living by making people laugh." And the fact that Bill Burr says it, it's so funny. So
I am pretty sure
it's
his parents must have said that to him at some point in time.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's a really fantastic show. It's a very short. Is it a short show, or did I just watch it constantly and didn't realize how time went by? But I think
That could be
it's
true.
3 or 4 seasons. Yeah. It's
That
not
happened
really
with me
short.
recently. I told you guys, I was watching Big Bang Theory and I've been watching it back to back. I realized it's just a very short series, and I thought it's like more than 10, 12 seasons. And I realized
Seasons,
this
yeah.
is actually 12, 13 seasons.
Yeah.
And I'm at the
Yeah.
9th season now. And I just started watching. So yeah, it
That's how
happened with me.
binging.
Yeah,
That's how binging works. Also, might I remind you, Prakhar, that's a very ADHD trait as well. Just in case you want to talk to somebody. I
No,
am
that's the
just
only
letting
show.
you know.
No, that's the only show that I watch even while like I'm having breakfast or lunch or dinner. So that is the that's the only show that I'm watching constantly. It's not like I'm switching between different shows or YouTube. So that can also be true, and what you said can also be true.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
So anyway, that's my recommendation of the week. It's a fantastic fucking show.
And in case any of you other listeners also suffer from ADHD and have forgotten our email ID, it is don'tknowdocare1 at gmail.com. And we are on Instagram at DKDC Podcast. Please do write to us with any corrections, any new suggestions, any ideas.
The one in our email is numerical.
Numerical one, yes. And before we end the show, we would once again request you to give us likes, subscribe to our channels, follow us on Instagram, give us ratings wherever possible, wherever you listen to us on. It helps us out massively. It helps us reach new audiences. Share the podcast if you can amongst your friends and family. Probably not family, but definitely among your friends.
Yeah, not family.
This
You're
is
right,
not
wing
family
I
friendly
mean,
at all.
family, you can, and just don't share with like the previous generation.
Yeah, I mean, we leave it to your own wisdom. So, totally
Yeah.
your call because you'll be the one answerable to them anyway. And that is the end of this episode. And what was the name of the organization? I forgot.
Nips.
Wow, the
Nips,
entire
nips.
fucking
Heartland.
entire episode.
Yes,
No,
Heartland. And much like
Thanks
Heartland,
for paying attention, Sandy.
and much like Heartland that continues to thrive even in today's day and age, we hope to also thrive in today's day and age down the line.
But not like Heartland. We
Probably not like
do not
Heartland,
wish
but
to.
with probably similar, donations as much as they receive. That would be ideal
And not
case.
from oil companies.
We'll see. So depends on the paycheck. Oh my God.
No, we are not accepting. We don't. If oil companies come to us, I'm done. We are finished
Okay, then we'll be continuing the podcast without Ashmita. So it will be
with two
Prakhar and I.
people.
Yeah, going forward.
Yeah. And I'll be working with somebody else to then malign you all.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll reach there when we get there. And hopefully by the next episode, when you join us, there'll be still 3 of us. And we hope to see you then. Take care. Bye bye.
Ciao.
expose.